15 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, we're good.
We're good. So, Cindy, if you'd lead us in the pledge. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I'd like to call the special meeting budget workshop to order.
Maybe, I mean, we might decide we don't want to have this.
United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sue, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Lesser,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Forrest, Councilor Bailey,
Here.
Councilor Carbone,
Here.
Councilor Clancy,
Here.
Councilor Durick, Councilor Rhodes, Councilor Timbrow, Councilor Zambrello. Here. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. So we're excited tonight. We have the fire department, we have engineering, IT, and the town radio, but the fire department is our leadoff hitters. And before you guys start, I want to say thank you for all the great work you do. I get compliments about the fire department all the time. Thank you. And I got a compliment last night about Anthony when I was in the Fresh Market. Yeah, they said Fire Marshal was great and appreciate all you do for our businesses. And Fresh Market was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, came out very nice.
Came out nice, and I think they're going to do really well. It was so crowded. I was back last night with Cindy, and it was super crowded, so it was good. Thank you for all your work. And the floor is yours. You guys, I guess, will present budget, then we'll ask some questions, and then, you know, I know Mike is here. Mike, thank you for all your work and for being here. No one's from the public is here yet, so Anthony, you're going first.
Yes, sir.
You're the leadoff hitter.
And real quick, before we get started, just to, one of the things we should point out with the budget, because Rich mentioned it before we started, and that is that the pension line item in all the department budgets is all zero this time, because we took them out of the budgets and put them just in general government, because what was happening is every year it would be disproportionate into the way that someone's budget would go up or down based upon who they had that was on the pension within the department or not. And so it wasn't very clear, and we always had to answer questions on why their budget jumped or why did it drop so much. So we just discussed and said, we're taking it out of all the department budgets, just putting it in the general government. And so, except for police, yeah, because they all get pension. So that's an actual accurate number, whereas it's not the case here. So most of our employees now are not pension. And that number, the pension number, gets smaller every year. So it was starting to skew the numbers. So we took it all out, except for police. And so when you see that, and you go, "Wow, their budget dropped." Look at that pension line first, because that'll be the part of the decrease, and then from there. So I just want to make that clear as we get started. So Anthony,
Thank you.
Thank you. It's an honor to go first here to kick off the budget. I was joking with Fred the other day when I was chosen first. So thank you very much. I'll just hit some of the highlights of what our office does. The office is required to enforce the Connecticut Fire Safety Code and Prevention Code. We're required to investigate the cause and origin of all fires and explosions in the town. We inspect all buildings except 1- and 2-family homes. We review plans for building permits, new construction, renovations of commercial buildings. We enforce several town ordinances. We regulate, monitor hazardous material storage and use within the town. We work very closely with the Board of Education. We attend all fire and lockdown drills at all our schools. We work with the fire department on fire prevention and public education activities. We had a very successful one last night at the prep school. They had their family night and went very well. We have an outreach program for senior citizens with smoke and CO detector installation, battery replacement. When folks call us if they have a problem with their smoke detector or their batteries need to be replaced, we go out there and assist folks. We supervise our town fire alarm monitoring system at the police station. We maintain all vital records for fire incidents and fire inspections. Presently, I serve on the town safety committee, the housing team and construction team, which Fred put together a couple of years ago. Since we put those teams together, we get successful businesses moving into town, sort of like Fresh Market. We meet, we discuss things, so all the inspections are done or are coordinated between the different departments, so that's working out very well. Presently, I serve as the town's emergency management director and supervises the town emergency operations center, which is downstairs. pretty much our office works with a lot of different agencies. We work very closely with the fire department, police department, planning, building department, health department. Today, we were out with the health department doing motel inspections, our engineering department, physical services, senior center, and social services. We've actually increased our workload working with social services on many issues, especially hoarding in the community. So we spend quite a bit of time helping out social services dealing with some of those issues. To get into the budget, if we look at the budget detail, which is number 1 on the list here, we just go down. I'm taking advantage of that decrease, so there's actually a drop of 12% because the pension is no longer part of my budget. We also cut some money from the training account. We're required to go to mandatory training, but again, we try to take advantages of classes that the state fire marshal's office provides. A lot of times those classes are free, so we take advantage of as many free classes as we possibly can. When we get to requests for positions, we're not requesting any, or I'm not requesting any new positions. However, I do have 2 part-time inspectors now. I have one that works 19 and a half hours, and I have one that works 15 hours. I put in a budget to increase their hourly rate. Presently, both of them, one works in Enfield and one works in Bloomfield, and they're paid a higher rate in those communities. So I'm just trying to bring their salary up to the market. So you'll see that increase in the budget to get their pay is sort of at market value here within Hartford County. Just a note, our office, we're able to do it with 1 full-time and then the 2 part-time people. So if we look at the surrounding communities, Rocky Hill, Newington, Berlin, Glastonbury, Windsor, South Windsor, and Simsbury, they both have full-time staff. We have a fire marshal, either a full-time deputy or a full-time inspector. So we're able to get a lot of work done just with myself and the 2 part-time inspectors. The only real issue, or should I say the big ticket item I'm requesting is under CNEF. I'm requesting $65,000 for another vehicle. Back in 2019, we bought the present vehicle that I use now, the red pickup truck. We have to carry a lot of tools and equipment to do our fire investigations. Back in 2019, we were able to, with the approval of the town manager and town council, we were able to get a pickup truck to meet the needs of our office. Back then, when we did get the vehicle, I tried to keep the existing vehicle we had, but that was transferred to physical services because they had some needs for a vehicle. So I sort of still was staying with 1 vehicle. Today in 2025, I still have 1 vehicle for the 3 of us. It makes it pretty difficult when we have to do inspections or we're all out, all 3 of us are out at the same time. Both Chief Bailey and Chief Schroll have been very nice over the years, allowing us to share vehicles with the fire department, but the fire department also has needs, so there's times when we need a vehicle, but the vehicle's needed for the fire department. The vehicle I use from the fire department is 25 years old, so it's on its last legs as well. So I really, it's getting very difficult to borrow vehicles or getting vehicles. We spend a lot of time in the morning just searching for a vehicle so I can send my inspectors out. It would make the operation a lot easier for us. We'd be more efficient out in the field. What my plan would be to keep the pickup truck as the investigation vehicle. And actually, the vehicle is also assigned to me in the town regulations. Certain directors or department heads are vehicles assigned to them. I'm the only one that has to share a vehicle with my employees. When I take a day off, if I need to go somewhere, I have to make sure the vehicle's here, so my inspectors get it. So I spend a lot of time just dropping the vehicle off here to make sure it's available. So having a second vehicle in the fleet, it's really comes a time that we do need that second vehicle in our fleet. No CIP requests, and I'm open to answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Anthony. We appreciate that. Counselors, questions for the fire marshal? Counselor Clancy.
What's Firewatch?
Firewatch is when, let's say, it's a public event. The event that you said at the Keeney Center a few weeks ago, the Taste of Weathersfield. Anytime there's a large crowd, If there's cooking, things like that, I have to assign a firefighter. So it's usually someone from my office or someone from the volunteer fire department is assigned there just for monitor crowd control, to make sure no fires start, monitor the fire alarm. We also have to assign fire watches anytime a building does not have a sprinkler system or a fire alarm. We've had a few times where, like Executive Square, we had the water main break on the outside of the building, so the sprinkler system had no water. That means it's not working, so we can't really displace, hundreds of people. So we have to assign firefighters into the building to walk the building to make sure there isn't a fire or any kind of problem in the building, or at least they're there quickly to handle any type of emergency. Sometimes I'm able to back charge the person that is using the fire watch. A lot of the fire watches are town events. Holiday on Main, I assign my inspectors down there. Sometimes I have to have multiple people. I hire volunteers from the fire department to walk the crowd, to check the cooking equipment, things like that. So sometimes we do get revenue coming back to offset that.
Good, okay, just one more. What are the specialized agency supplies?
Specialized agency supplies, that's tools and equipment I need for investigation. That's fire prevention equipment, the little red hats we hand out.
Yeah.
Fire prevention materials, we have handouts for the seniors. We buy smoke detectors, and we have them for folks that may not be able to afford them. We're able to hand them out. So it's pretty much my account where I can buy equipment and needs to serve the office.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Clancy. Further council questions? Anyone? Just ask the $65,000 for the new SUV. Is that a new one, and is there a possibility of getting a used one?
We've looked at that. We've talked with Fred. We've tried to work something out or maneuver. We haven't had any quality vehicles coming off the line that we were able to capture from the police department. I'm open to getting some kind of reliable vehicle.
I don't know if, other towns may have one taking off their fleet, but usually they're not in great shape if they're doing that.
Normally other towns drive them.
But is there a used type of market for these type of vehicles where we could maybe at half the cost get something? I don't know. Just asking the question.
I mean, we could certainly look into it. It's generally we get new ones because they're still under warranty, whereas the used ones probably aren't, but we could see if there's something coming off a lease or something. We can check if it meets our needs.
Yeah, I can just say from past history, when I used to work in Glastonbury, we used to hand down vehicles. We used to get old cop cars. By the time we got the police cars, I should say.
They were beat up?
They were pretty beat up, so
Right.
we rotated a lot of vehicles. We went through a car like every year. So again, it has its benefits, but also
Understood.
Getting used vehicles, they break down a lot. They end up being in the shop a lot. So again, I need a reliable vehicle. So we need something for transportation, but I can't get work done if my guys are sitting here.
And is it specially equipped, or is it just
Well, that would be lights and everything. And my two inspectors also are volunteer firefighters now, so in the daytime, they also respond to emergencies. They respond to the firehouse and help get the apparatus out. So yeah, we have to mark it up for the emergency lighting. That price is right off the.
it's all set to go, all ready to go? Okay, perfect. Anybody have anything else before we go to our number 2? Oh. Okay. Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate it. Well done. Chief, you're up.
Okay, number 2 for the night. Hopefully, we kick this off on a good note with us being number 1 and 2. We'll go right into our, of course, the fire department, as you know, is a 24/7, 365 emergency service. There's too many things on a list of things that we do. And it seems like whenever nobody else can fix anything, you call the fire department, which is okay. I mean, that's what we're here for. Emergencies, and when people call us, it's their worst day of their life. For us, it might be routine, but some people they call for 911 is the worst day of their lives. And whatever we can do to support those people and do that, that's our budget. I'll go through the proposed budget memo that Joe Perkins puts together about the highlights for the increases overall in my requested budget this year. The overall increase is 2.87%. Personnel, some of those are fixed costs, like our secretary is part-time secretary, so that comes with the automatic 1 year, every year increase. I requested $5,000 more in the personnel line item due to the fact that we're getting more personnel, we're going to more calls for service, we're getting more requests for doing social events, which we give people, give some of our people points for. So that is ever increasing with holidays on Main, fireworks, all the social events that are happening in town. So that was an increase of $5,000 on that, the point system line. Non-personnel increase is 3.6. $20,000, as you can see with the recruitment efforts that we've been having, we've been increasing our roles. And as we increase our roles, the requests for pre-employment physicals will go up because we're putting more people in service. That also entails on the other end, because after they get in, then we still have to provide them medical physicals every year, so that increases on that end. And turnout gear. Once we start getting more people, we have to get more turnout gear. So those are my three increases are turnout gear, physicals, and $5,000 for the point system. Moving right down to the CNEF request. This is my third year requesting replacement of the utility grid 17. It is 1999 pickup truck that is now deteriorating quickly. The body's starting to rot off the back of it, between the frame rails and the body that's rotting away. That is used for our boat, water calls, ice rescue equipment, assorted 100 things that we do daily with that. Fire Marshal uses this sometime when our command vehicle's out of service, which has been happening regularly. So that is one request. The other request is my second or third year requested a replacement of our 1997 tower ladder, which is about in the area of $2.3 million. But that vehicle is now 27 years old. According to the national standards, they recommend replacement after 25. And if we signed a contract for one today, it wouldn't be here for 3 years. So we're actually be 5 to 6 years out of recommended replacement time. That is the tip of the iceberg of the request of the replacement program for apparatus. We're kind of behind the gun because we haven't replaced anything in many years, and everything's just keeps increasing in time. The next request down the road would be the replacement of the rescue truck, which is now 25 years old this year. Again, if we designed one today, it wouldn't be here for 3 or 4 5 years. So, those are my two CNF requests for replacement of vehicles. And moving along to CIP requests, Company 1, the HVAC system that runs the third floor actually, because there's a mezzanine level. That's been in disrepair for many years. We've been band-aiding it for many years, and it's come to the point where parts are obsolete. The refrigerator that they use in those machines now, by next year it's banned. So as we continue to move along with the use of the HVAC equipment there, the next failure is going to be a catastrophic failure will be coming. So put in a CIP request for $30,000 for total replacement of both. They're actually mini split type units, but they're very large because the roof is very large, so there's 2 of them. So total replacement for that, the request that we got for is about $30,000. And I think that's the long and short of it. On a good note, within the past years, because of some of our past year and our recruitment efforts, we've gained 13 applicants and new members. Right now, we've got probably since April of last year, we got 10 new members at least. We got 3 more in the pipeline. The unfortunate part with that is every time we gain 3, we lose 2. So we're playing a game like this. We have, right now, we have 2 people, one person that is on leave of absence, we got Floyd, another one that we just found out next week, he signed up for Marine Corps Reserves. So hopefully that pay person can come back in 7 months when he graduates. But we're slowly gaining ahead. We're about 50, well, right now we got 56 on the rolls. We got 3 in the pipeline, so that'll be 59, but then we have the 2 or 3 that are going in different directions going on. So we could always use more. Our recruitment has been very aggressive lately. I hope you've all seen our new brochure that we put out. So that was an awesome job by our social media and recruitment division. We had a couple of applicants come out of that. I think that's pretty much about it right now. Questions of me?
Well, thank you, Chief, and I appreciate the recruitment. I know you've worked hard on it, as has Hasim and Javier and the little committee. There's another gentleman who wasn't at the couple ones that I was.
He's the one who took a leave of absence. He started at Harper Fire Academy on Monday.
Oh, good, excellent. So you guys might have seen, and some of the counselors might have seen on Monday, there was a headline article in the Hartford Current talking about how volunteerism is way down to the fire departments. It's good to know that we're up, and this is a national trend that, but it was highlighted in that article on the front page. And we like to talk about that we have the oldest continuous volunteer fire department in the United States. It's a nice claim to fame for Wethersfield. I think 1803, right? So that's, yeah, so it's fantastic.
Our numbers aren't shy from that article. When we were used to 100 members here probably
Yeah.
10, 15 years ago, and now we're 50, so the 50% of loss that they reflect in the article is true.
True. But we're starting to go a little on the upswing, which is great, due to your efforts and some other folks. Thank you, Chief. Council questions, anybody? Bailey, Councilor Bailey. Councilor Bailey.
Those days are gone.
Rich,
The
pull your
mini
mic.
splits, is
Pull your
that
mic.
what you-
You talk pretty loudly, but in case people. No, you-
Is that for just the units or the condenser and compressor as well?
100% don't know that. I have to get the quote to look at it.
Have you gotten quotes on it, or just Dave came in and?
We brought a professional company in here for, it's a $30,000 for.
Fair enough.
I don't know that. That's part of it. I have to go back.
So this would be a contract work.
Yes. Yes.
That's important.
Very important.
Contracts come with warranties. Yep.
Thank you, Councilor Bailey. Anybody else?
Yeah, I have some.
Councilor
couple.
Clancy. Yep.
When was the last time we bought a fire truck?
2000, around the year 2000, or 2020. And that
4 years ago.
Probably bought it the year before that, so 2019.
Oh, it took a year to get here.
20, so 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Okay. And what happens on the third floor of the, what happens on the third floor of Company
We do
One?
training on the third floor department. We have company meetings, which are generally used for.
Okay. And I would just like to hear a little about the Explorers. How many Explorers do you have, and what do they do? And,
We don't have an Explorer program.
oh, because it's on the, in the budget. Explorer hats, clothes,
Yeah, I think that was supposed to be replaced.
I mean, taken out?
I thought I put that out, it's not Explorer. Was that in the uniforms or something?
Under, yeah, it's on page 188,
Explorer.
Under
shirts or something like that?
specialized things, yeah. It's $996.
185.
Can we cross that out? I can save $996 right now? Can we just cross that one out? That'd be great.
I gotta find it.
No, I think where it says Explorer hats, pants, and polos, that's actually blank. I think it's just the narrative's there, but it's not the value. The nine.
Oh, is the fire hoods?
Fire boots, ear bags, knee pads, and hoods.
And those are not for Explorers? Those are,
No, those are for active members, right?
oh, okay.
The narrative's there, but there's no, if you go across, there's no cash value for the Explorers.
Oh, I thought the whole thing was $996. Okay.
No, I think, yeah, that.
It just needed a space.
Explorer hat, pants, polo shirts, and work shirts should be out. The $996 is for boots, ear bags, that's, and fire hoods, that's for our active members.
Okay. All right, well, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank
To
you.
be honest with you, I tried to do something once on this.
Sorry.
And I told Joe one day when we were doing our review, I said, Joe, I touched that, and it did this over here, so I.
Try not to check.
So that's why it was, I just.
Excel gets a little tricky.
Yeah, I have that challenge sometimes too, Chief. Yeah,
It didn't add up at the end unless I took a line out.
Yeah.
great. Counselor Clancy, Cindy,
I'm good. Thank you.
any other question? Counselor Carbone?
I do. Thanks, Chief, for coming in, and I'm very low tech too, so I try not to touch any of it. I don't even know how. They give me paper still. That's half. I think that's in our budget. Is all my paper, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have a couple questions, and you may have touched on it, and it could just be my lack of understanding. And maybe this is a question for Fred as well. The physicals. So you said you had 13 new people that came in this past year. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then we have to put them through a physical, all the physical
It's a medical physical, yes.
testing. Yeah. So we pay cash out of pocket for those.
No,
How do those work?
we go to Harvard Healthcare and they bill us.
And they bill us. Okay. So, but when we pay that, so we don't have, I know, I always feel like there should be some kind of insurance layer in there that helps us with that. No?
Pre-employment.
Yeah, they're not employees yet, so,
Okay.
yeah.
So we pay the full price for those physicals and there's no workaround with that.
We have to provide to make sure that they're medically fit to do the position. Just like any town.
Yeah, no, sure. I want them to be fit. Trust me. However,
Every year, the standards that we have to hold, they have to be retested every year.
okay. All right. I was just thinking if there's some payment workaround for that.
Now, we have a similar line item in town budget too for regular employees that we hire. They have to go for medical and they have to do,
We
certain
pay the
tests.
full price, nothing. Okay. And then the second, I'm sorry, I was just trying to understand how that payment process works. And then the second question I have is, I know you touched base on the turnout gear. Can you please, so last year we budgeted $30,000 for turnout gear. And then now this year it's 40. Can you please explain the jump?
We're just adding more members, so it's we're going to need more turnout here.
Okay, so it's not replacing, it's adding new.
Well, it's both because we have to replace our turnout gear every 10 years.
Okay.
According to the standards. So if we get into the limited access highway funds a little bit, every time we go to a call on the highway, we get reimbursed $1,500.
Nice.
We're able to put some of those funds into certain accounts. We set up an account for PPE. The $10,000 doesn't come close to
Really?
a year for our people. So with the limited access highway fund, there's balance there.
Okay.
And we might not be having to replace 10 a year because we do have some in stock.
Okay.
But it's a start. If we lost the limited access highway funds, then this would increase substantially every year.
All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Every turnout year, Code camp right now is $4,000.
Wow.
And you have boots that are 500, you have a helmet that's 300. Air pack is $10,000. So outfitting one person is pretty close to $7,000.
Wow. And so when the people leave, that stays with you and we can give it to the next person, right? And then what is the life of that gear? Like, I'm just thinking, we had 100 and now we're down to 50 and what's the life? Is it, how long do they typically last? Does it depend on how busy they are, how much damage it receives? No. Sorry, no. The people, the gear lasts about 10 years.
10 years before it's dismantled.
Regardless of its condition, yes.
Okay. So if you have a coat that's in pretty good shape, doesn't matter. And that's according to state,
Yeah, FBI.
National standards.
federal.
Fire Protection Association.
Okay.
Enforced by OSHA, so it's law, yeah, pretty much law.
Yeah, it's locked in. Okay. Just checking. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Carbone. Anybody else? Let me just ask Chief and Finance Director, Town Manager, Mike and Fred, you may jump in here. I understand the need for the truck. It's expensive, obviously, and it's a tough year. They're all tough. But I'm wondering if there are any, I know leasing, but rates are high, but are there any possibilities of let's say the cost is 2.3 million, that, and we don't get it for 3 or 4 years, is there a contract where we could have, I'll call them 3 installment payments, where we paid, I don't know, 800,000 a year? I'm just asking the question if there's a way to plan it, to pay it over time and sign a contract. We're not paying 2.3 million, and it may be that this doesn't exist. I'm just asking the question because it's a big hit and to the budget if we were to approve it all at once.
There is.
Mike,
I
Mike,
remember the
Mike, we want to get you on the mic. Mike on the mic. So I don't know if the,
Mike O'Neill, Director of Finance. I do recall the 2 Sutphen pumpers that we purchased in 2019. We paid up front because there was a considerable discount to do that, but there was an option to put a deposit down and to pay, pay the balance at a later date.
so potentially in a couple installment payments, or there are certain plans that we
Yep,
might
and
be.
the other thing you could do is, and maybe you were excluding borrowing.
Well, I know
but
we could lease
we could
and
borrow
I-
up front.
If the rates were better, like they were a few years back, I would say we might want to
Yeah.
borrow or lease, but I'm talking more about like a contract with an installment payment, like, and my example, 800,000 a year for 3 years or something. I don't know.
I guess what I can say is there were certainly the last time we did this, and it's fairly infrequent, that there were options at the time.
Okay.
Do a deposit or pay everything up front and get a discount on the overall price.
Okay. So it's possible. Okay. Thank you. Anybody?
Just a,
We're like, wait.
Let's
Sorry,
follow
go
up on
ahead.
that.
Or, I don't know who was first.
Go
You
ahead.
want to draw a straw? Okay.
We're going to say the same thing.
Probably
Sure, we just-
Counselor Clancy.
Yeah,
Cindy, go
could you
ahead.
find out if that's something we could do and get back to us?
I could say my past experiences for all the apparatus that I bought for all my years here. The one we're replacing, we went for a referendum.
That was my question.
We bought was, I believe,
Brennan for the truck, like $2 million.
one down payment and then a payment on delivery. But any manufacturer up to nowadays will work on payment plans. It's not 20% up front and then 3 or 4 different payments along the term, or you can finance through them or lease them, whatever way that the finance department decides. We might have a better rate financing them ourselves than through a vendor. But there are plenty of options out there. It's not necessarily a one-time hit.
Oh, good.
It's good
So
to
you
know.
could let us know.
Good to know.
Every manufacturer will work with any town to do it. It's just the option that the town decides.
Brian, has it been spec'd out completely? What you need?
We would spec out what we want. Pretty standard what we're going to be replacing. The days of being 100% fancy, like very custom, like they did many years ago, is not really there. Or the need, I guess you could say. I shouldn't say it's just lower model stock options out there. There's stuff that we can fabricate ourselves or customize ourselves for nothing.
But we have the specs enough to be able to go back to Sutphen and say, this is what we need.
Yes.
What are our options for payment? And so could we do that for the latter in the next couple weeks? Could we get something from them? Okay.
Even bring in a representative and have them, we can make a meeting with Mike.
Yeah, let's, we just need to provide the information back to the council because it's, okay.
Oh, that'd be great.
Shelley, Counselor Carbone?
Or the other option would be to bond it out. Is that what you were going to say? Like, would that have to go to referendum? And then what would the pay, because coming up with $800,000 right out the gate is kind of
a lease would not require, doesn't work like bonding. It would
Okay.
just be an equipment lease
okay.
that we could work with, do a bid, is what we've done in the past. We've
We've
just
done
a
that
bid.
before, but the rates were much better. So now it's not as advantageous to lease
Yeah,
slash
no.
borrow.
And it doesn't need to be bonded because it's not a purchase? Is that why?
It's not well,
We wouldn't be we would.
we'd be pledging, to get really technical on you, we would not be pledging, we'd be pledging with the value of the equipment. That's the security for the borrowing. So it's a lease versus bonds are the full faith and credit of the town itself. and they just work a little differently.
So if
But you certainly could bond for
Would it have
something
to go
like
to
this,
referendum?
that, you know, you wouldn't do 20-year bonds like we did for the high school, you'd do, 8, 10 years.
And if you bond it, does it have to go to referendum? Anybody?
Yes.
It does.
To issue bonds requires an authorization.
And then,
Over a certain amount, there's an amount in the charter.
and I'm just curious, if we did, say we did decide to bond it out, then, because we do have an election coming up, how much,
I haven't got one from
I
Tom.
mean, I'm sure everyone's different, but we don't have to come up with that big lump sum in the beginning, correct?
So if we.
Or would we pay it off and then we'd pay off the
A
loan?
lease would allow us, right, a lease would allow us even more options in terms of payment. Another thing to consider is, would it make sense, or would if there were some discount offered by the manufacturer for full payment up front, you could kind of view that maybe as a credit against the interest cost of borrowing the money up front. And maybe, certainly the mayor's right, the market's not as good as it was 4 or 5 years ago in terms of interest rates, but if there was a discount from the manufacturer, you'd be borrowing less, and you'd be paying less. And it's kind of comes down to a little bit of math there too.
All right, keep us posted.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody else?
Just a side note, every year that we wait, there's going to be another 15 to 20% on top of this, and that's before tariffs, things like that. That's just manufacturing costs and that, and costs associated with building steel.
Got it. Thank you, Chief.
Are fire trucks made in the United States? Where are the fire trucks made?
The particular model we'd be looking at is Ohio.
Oh, so it's made in the United States? Okay.
But that's
There
not
are
just
other ones that are made out of
components.
country.
Yeah, I get that.
That's what we would look at, but we would look at standardizing what we have now. And there's one company that we deal with, Southern Company, which are 95% of our fire trucks now are Southern, so we stick with that manufacturer, who are also Sourcewell, Sourcewell company.
What's the name of it?
Sutton, S-U-T-P-H-E-N,
Oh, okay.
here in Columbus, Ohio.
Want to take a field trip?
No, no, thank you.
Anyone else?
No, there's not.
I was just in Ohio.
Well, thank you, guys. Appreciate all you do. Appreciate you, President. Thank you. Enjoy the draft or the whatever's on. The Knicks, I think, are on. Whatever.
I watched the hockey game.
Hockey, too, yeah. Have a good night. Thank you for all you do, guys. Derek, you are up next, so thank you for being here. Well, everybody, we got engineering next. The good news is we're a little ahead of schedule for anybody who's checking.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thanks, Anthony. Thank you. Now batting third, Derek Greger from engineering. And whenever you're ready, you appreciate all you do. Thank you. The floor is yours when you're ready.
Derek Greger, I'm an engineer, here tonight for engineering department budget. That section starts on page 200 of the budget book. So I was going to run through the line item detail and just discuss anything that was significantly changing from last year. Staffing wise, same amount of staff, overtime is the same. Moving down, really the first change is getting into travel training and dues. There's a little bit of an increase, just changes in costs for our professional certifications. We have 2 PEs on staff, one licensed land surveyor. Hope to have another PE on staff soon, as one of the guys is working towards getting that. So it's a slight increase there. Moving down to office machinery and service, there's a $2,500 cost for agreements for servicing our plotters. We have 2 very expensive large plotters that we use for plotting out plans very frequently. We use them every day. So that's there really for maintenance needs as needed. No change in professional services requested. Support services, just a small increase due to some software cost increases for software that we use pretty much every day. Next category at the bottom of this page is starting the next one for repair and maintenance. There are some changes there I was going to discuss. Pavement markings for local roads. I was really underestimated it last year, the bid prices for probably used CROGS bids. They solicit bids from multiple contractors. We work off of that. It really was much higher last year. We paid close to $70,000. Some of that's related to increases in unit prices. Some of it's related to the fact that we are doing more crosswalks, installing them, and then they have to be painted every year, more striping for bike ped infrastructure and things of that nature. Guide rail installation, asking for additional $5,000. Really, that's just for repairs as needed. We have a lot of guide rail that needs to be repaired throughout town. That's more of a capital project. This request really is just to correct damage when we do have a working and operational system that we need to fix. It usually costs anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000. I've found in the last few years just to get it into town to do what needs to be done in one location. So it doesn't go very far. I've already expended what I had for last year to date. So just asking for a small increase there. Town sidewalk assistance, we've had that for the last couple of years. That has been successful. Some things one of the reasons for the increase is the fact that we have a secret fix app that's available now. We are finding we're getting a lot of complaints, particularly sidewalk related coming in. Just some statistics. My sidewalk inspector last year issued 120 notices to private residences to repair walks, which was a big increase from previous years. So far this month, from April 1st, we have 50 issues. So we're almost halfway there, and we're only 1 month into the season. So I'm hoping that pace doesn't continue, but regardless, I certainly expect there will be more, and the more notices we issue, the more opportunities there are for people to try, apply and come in for funding. So I expect to go through what we have already been allocated, so there's requested there for that. A couple down from there is drainage system maintenance reserve. We basically combined that with our CCTV and drainage inspections, which was a separate line item last year. That was a contract that came to council a couple weeks ago on awarding it. We had put out a contract. Part of our MS4 permit from D, we're required to clean and inspect our drainage systems. Really, annually, we can't do it annually because we have 32 people that business structure. Just too much every year. So with this, we're trying to get maybe to a quarter of the catch basins every year, so they're on a 4-year cycle for getting cleaned and inspected. And it also allows us some money for the inspections when we need them. That just is as needed as it comes up. There's always issues that you can't see from the surface, so having money available to have run cameras down the pipes, very helpful. Identifying what's prepared. So legal advertisement had no changes. We reduced miscellaneous survey equipment and specialized agencies supplies a little bit, just trying to offset where I feel like cut back a little bit because of some of the other increases requested. Overall, that results in about a 10% increase in the budget. Working off of the department memo, going to the requested positions next. I had formally put in a request, as I have for many years for an admin assistant. I don't have that in engineering right now, so our technical staff does a lot of the administrative work. We've been making that work, but it's gotten to be more difficult as we have more workload coming in. As I just mentioned, additional sidewalk complaints, road repair needs, challenging. One thing I did want to point out while we're discussing that, I think all of you received a spreadsheet I had provided to the manager that I'm providing it really, it's our major capital improvement projects that we have going on that we're involved with. These are just projects over $100,000. And I put that together because, to be honest, we're just finding we're very overwhelmed with the amount of work we have. We're very aggressive with going after state funding for various projects, whether it be road reconstruction, sidewalks, drainage, infrastructure, and honestly, it's just catching up with us. We've reached a point where I did meet with the manager last week, just to talk about we need to really think about where we're going for the next few years, because without sufficient staffing or additional money for these type of consultants, we're talking about scaling back on some of the applications we normally would be applying for, because we just can't get the projects done quickly. We have not gotten to the point yet where the money is going to be taken away, which does happen. It has happened to towns. I think we've stayed ahead of that curve. But I'm just really bringing it up to council right now at the projects. We have about $8 million worth of projects. Looking at what are considered future projects, which I don't think are too far down the road. We got another $20 million worth of projects. Some of that will be designed in-house when we can. It's more cost effective. We're also going to need consultants to do some of that work. So, you know, these projects are, what's challenging is this is in addition to staff being tasks that we do every year. We have our annual programs, sidewalk repairs, paving, pavement preservation, signs now, traffic signs we've taken over. So we have all that work that keeps us busy anyway. These are really extra to try and get additional work done. So I'm only bringing it to the council's attention preparation for maybe future years. Next year, I know we're really going to be looking to see if I can get some additional help in the engineering department. We're physically challenged right now as far as space, which is an issue. But aside from that, I really could use another 1 or 2 engineers to help do some of this technical work. Because it's myself. We did add a civil engineer last year. Great. Very helpful. We've been able to push out more work than we were, but we're still having a hard time keeping up. So I just for CNF requests, I did not have any this year. I did have a lot of capital requests. That is on page 276. There's a lot. I'm thinking I would just highlight some of the top ones. I think most of you are aware of it. But our highest request was for meeting the needs of parking lot repair. Store next to the Silas Dean Middle School with the church. We have rights to park in that parking lot. They are doing some drainage and reconstruction work in the next 2 years, and we have committed to paying a proportion amount of that is representative. So I had gotten an allocation last year of $75,000. We need another $75,000 to keep them moving and be able to meet our agreement. Right, we rank number 5 on the list that you have, the Strattville area. That project has begun. It's underway already. We had been talking when we started this design of this project last summer with MDC. You may remember there's a lot of settlement issues out there over both sanitary and storm systems. Pipes all look good. They've TV'd theirs, we've TV'd ours. However, with regard to what we need to do some extra stabilization and drainage work beyond what we normally do. So it's a much larger project than our paving programs. MDC has not been willing to help contribute to that, so we're bearing the burden of stabilizing the road as we do it. And this was some money I was hoping to get from them. They did not come through on it, so I'm really asking for it to help pay for this project. As I say, we don't usually start projects without having all the funding, but in this particular case, it's being paid partially with road funds. So if it turns out we don't have enough money to complete the project, well, it just really cut into all programs which we have to still ask them to do. So the project, I'm not concerned about getting it done, but it would be helpful to keep the rest of the program on schedule. The next one down is Copper Mill Road culvert. That's a very large culvert. It goes from the road. It's our lowest rated culvert. We had it inspected a number of years ago. We need about $400,000 for a town match to use the state local bridge program. It's a 50-50 match. That's the best we can find right now for drainage improvements. I think I currently have about a $50,000 allocation. This request is trying to get much closer to 400. So when we do apply, we can apply. We have to find available to meet matching. Fourth one for me would be miscellaneous drainage repairs. This is item 8. As probably aware, and I've spoken to you about, we have been seeing an increase in storm frequencies and storm rainfall events that we've been having. It's been discussed at a lot of conferences I've gone to. So there's definitely a need for drainage. This is for some of the more mid-sized projects that will be designed and maybe construct in-house. So it's going to help do some of those projects that we have a long list of kind of small to mid-sized projects that need to be done and where we're having those flooding problems that we're going to try to address. And the number 9 on your list is just town dam repairs. We just finished up the Millwood Park dams down there. That was a DEP mandated project. did get to the dams, took a lot of vegetation off and stabilized them. We do have 2 other dams, Griswold Pond Dam, and Reservoir, and similar type of treatment. Just asking for money to start the design on those so we can get those done in the coming years. I have a number of other ones on the list I'd be happy to talk about if anybody wants to, but I don't want to use any of this time on projects that are further down, so I'm happy to answer questions you may have.
Thank you, Derek. Counselors, questions? No? Anyone? Counselor Zambrello.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you to talk about one more of these CIP projects. Can you tell us more about the town and school parking lot improvements?
So in 2021, when we had our roads last evaluated, in 5 years we had our roads evaluated. When we did it in 2021, we included school parking lots because they hadn't been looked at since the early 2000s. With that, came back a report that we had somewhere around $18, $19 million worth of recommended parking lot repairs for our infrastructure. So the $150,000 request really was to look at the 2 of the worst ones that we have currently. I think they were fire station number 3 and maybe the ambulance facility that are in the worst condition, and we didn't have funding elsewhere to pay for it. So the request was just a small portion of really the overall need, but it would allow us to do a couple of projects that we start working towards the repairs that we need. So, you know, everything with the roads, parking lots, the longer we delay, the more expensive the repairs get.
Okay, thank you. And one more question, because we heard at our last council meeting, there were several people coming in saying they were having difficulty paying for sidewalks. As we know, the sidewalk inspector's been out more, so more people are noticing this. If we were, so I know you're requesting an additional $10,000 for the sidewalk assistance program. If we were to increase that more, would we have the capacity to use that money? Would we be able to make it work?
We're pretty thin right now. I mean, and part of the reason why I haven't increased it a lot is we're still new into the program and not everyone qualifies. I mean, we are finding, I don't remember the statistics that were provided last year, but most people don't. And talking to social youth services this year, they're getting more applications because we're putting out more notices, and they're saying a lot of those aren't even really close to qualifying. So I don't have a good gauge yet on how much can be used, so I'm trying to do in smaller increments so
Sure.
we can be sure that, yes, it kind of matches the need that's out.
Right, but and you said we're pretty sure that we're going to spend what we allocated for this year.
Yeah, we spent close to 35,000 or 50 thus
Okay.
far, and we still have the rest of this fiscal year.
All right. Thank you, that's all.
Thank you, Counselor Zambrello. Counselor Carbone, Shelley?
Thank you. So, hi. In that same thread, I know sidewalks are a huge issue in town, and they've been for quite some time. So the actual spent right now is $35,000, because that was part of my question. When your inspector's going out, is he, when he looks at the slabs and I see the big white X's, is he just saying that that needs to be replaced, or is there room for repair?
Yeah, so historically in town, it always had to be a repair. We have loosened that up a little bit, so we do allow some repairs to be done. The repairs that we allow to be done would be a grinding repair, where if there's an offset joint, they can grind down some of the slab that is.
I've seen somebody doing that.
I mean, we allow that to a certain point. If the slabs are in good condition, otherwise, we will allow that to happen. Or there's a slab jacking process where they can core through and use grout and kind of like re-level the slabs. Either one of those are options that are available to people. Some do use it. The challenge is
Available through the town, or do they have to pay for that, or is that?
yeah, similarly, we do allow it in lieu of replacement because it is cheaper. The difficulty that they have is that a lot of these contractors won't come in for 1 or 2 slabs at one location. They need more volume to do that.
Repairs.
Each individual owner is responsible for their own activity. It makes it hard to kind of coordinate that sometimes. So sometimes we've seen groups of 5 or 6 different neighbors get together and do some of that work. We do what we can to allow that. We generally don't allow like the type where they just go put it in mortar that has to pop out very quickly.
Replace, like fix a crack? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it'll come out quickly. So certain types of repairs we do allow. We try to work with them as best we can. I mean, to be honest with you, we are in some neighborhoods that at the north end of town where there are stretches of very bad walk, and we're not sure what to do because we can't tell people to spend $15,000 on repairs. So we're trying to address the worst ones first. And usually with all the residents, we're trying to work with them if they're having difficulty paying for them, if they don't qualify for the assistance program. We'll try to work with them over a period of a couple of years to try and get the work done.
So I'm sorry, let me focus on that for a second. So when you say you work with them over the next couple of years, are you replacing the slab and they're on like a payment program? Or are you saying, okay, let's replace one now, we'll do one next year?
The latter, the way we might reduce how much we would like to see done and try and do the worst ones immediately and then work with them in subsequent years.
Okay. And this is still for the people who are in Old Weathersfield that have the slate, correct?
So that's a different situation. We don't have a lot of that has come up where we have broken slate slabs that are hazards and need to be repaired. That's something that in talking with the manager, I think this year what we'll do is we'll do some sample areas of that around the town property to show what a new concrete replacement that is textured and colored to look more like slate looks like, because that is a much more cost-effective repair than replacing those types of slate slabs that are out there now. You know, it'll be up to council how we want to address those when those do come up. So that's kind of a different situation. I hope to have that conversation.
An HDC conversation, probably? That's more of an HDC conversation, too,
Not
probably?
sidewalks.
No? No? Oh, good. Okay, so last question, and thank you, by the way. One of the grants that we had received was the gap closures, the sidewalk gap closures. Did we do that? Did we do any of that?
Gap closure project?
Yeah.
That is new. We have not historically done that. We do have a list of about 60 locations in town where we either had requests or we've identified places where it would make sense to close gaps in the system. So we have applied, actually we did apply for a grant. We did get some money to do some gap closures in a couple areas of town. There's another opportunity coming up with the community grant program that we're looking to apply to next month that would also do the similar type of thing. I think, you know, in talking with the new town planner about that, there's going to be a level of outreach and education about that, and especially reaching out
About the gaps.
to owners, to make them aware of what we're doing, why we're doing it.
Other people that don't want the sidewalks because of this?
There may be, I suspect.
I would assume.
Will not be pleased with that, but we, you know, that's part of the outreach we're gonna try and do. We're looking at
That's a lot of money.
As more of a public safety matter and something, particularly where we're focusing is within walking routes to schools. So we've looked at the schools and see where walkers need to walk to school, and if there's gaps in those systems, those are what we're trying to focus on.
And Derek, specifically for that grant that Councilwoman Carbone was speaking about, the one that we did get, we haven't received that money yet, and that project has not been done yet, but we are going to be getting the money.
Because I'm looking at, like, can we spread that around? That's $1 million. You know, that would
It is,
do
and
a lot
I
of
think we're
sidewalks.
targeting a couple of key locations on that one, if you want to speak to that.
Collier. I remember when I requested Collier a sidewalk for there, you told me it was around $300,000 just to,
Yeah, that's
which is, yeah.
That is part of that project.
Okay.
There's a number of locations, and we try to, really Charles Wright and Highcrest schools were the ones we put into our application.
Last question on sidewalks. I promise that sidewalks on the brain. It's just such an issue in town.
It
So
is. There's a lot of chatter about it.
it's crazy. So in-house, like what can we, is it something, like when we say we're repairing or replacing, that's not us doing it out there with a concrete mixer, correct?
Yes, so the walks that are along town frontages or are damaged by town trees, the town's responsible for repair.
But are you contracting that out?
So it's historically we have, in recent years with the addition of masons and businesses.
Yeah, yeah.
The process is when we identify those and we provide the list to them, they review them, and the ones that they feel they can do in-house in a timely fashion, they'll do at a lower cost. And
Okay.
the ones they feel they can't get to, then we assign those to the contractor. So we have been working with the physical services, and you know, the more they can do, I think the better for everyone.
Agreed. So I was just thinking, if there's, just thinking out loud, some way to reduce this for people, if we could do it in-house, if somebody has a need like that.
Yeah, and that's a smaller percentage because a lot of the issues that are out there are really for a private property where the
Yeah.
town's not responsible. And then it's back and forth of issuing notices, following up. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 different notices to get some movement on it. So it's a really time-consuming and laborious process for staff. but we work with it.
All right, awesome, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Counselor Carbone. Anyone, Counselor Clancy?
Did more sidewalk follow-up.
Yeah, it's fine.
So on Monday night, several people spoke and suggested that you're nodding, I know you, but I'm going to say probably, but suggested that the town should take over the complete maintenance and taking care of all the sidewalks. And it was suggested that that would cost about $300,000. Do you have an opinion on that?
I would say, I mean, that is a conversation that can be had. I mean, the reality of that, in some ways, that would be a lot more efficient for us to be able to plan out projects and be a lot less time spent back and forth, working with property owners. As far as the amount, we'd have to think about that a little bit as far as what the needs are. I do have plans to get a sidewalk inventory done, so we have a better understanding of what the need is out there. And then based on that, we would set like how much would we need each year. Realistically, we would definitely need funding annually to do those types of repairs. And I don't have a dollar value right now. That's something that I'm open to having a conversation about, but whether it's, however it's done, if it does change in that respect, the money's got to come from somewhere, and that's the challenge.
But you're heading in that heading in the direction of being able to answer the question.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have plans, I mean, it's maybe a year or two out, but we do have plans for a sidewalk inventory to be able to better quantify that. Then we'll have a better understanding of what the need is, and then we'll talk about, what makes sense at that point.
Who's doing it? Do you have enough people to do that?
That would be a consultant that would have to come in and do that, because we have 113 miles of sidewalk, which is quite a bit to manage in 5-foot segments, because the slab is about 5 feet long, and we're usually dealing with 2 or 3 or 4 slabs at a time.
And there are sidewalk consultants?
There are consultants, engineering consultants that will do inventories. We just have one finishing with a traffic sign inventory. Similar kind of consultants do sidewalk evaluations will help give us that information.
Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Bailey?
Contracted, what is it, a slab?
What we're paying,
Like,
square foot slab.
yeah.
I believe this current contract for a standard 5-inch slab is $3 a square foot. We have 20 square feet.
It's how much?
$16.
16? You know what it is for Public Works to do it?
I don't have that information tonight, but I know.
I mean, that would be something maybe we could ask Sally what, for her guys to do them, and get an overtime figure too, because if it's a lot less, it only makes sense.
I know they've been looking at that. We have provided them with the recent bid pricing so they can evaluate what that is. It's certainly cheaper, and we use them as much as we can.
Absolutely.
Rich, you good?
Yeah, thank you.
Good questions. Any other council questions for Derek? Thank you, Derek. Appreciate it. Thank you. Next on our agenda tonight, batting cleanup, is our IT folks. And then after that, we have townwide radio. We're doing really well, folks. Thank you. You too.
Bye, Derek, thank you.
And guys, just speak into the mic, and we want to make sure that's,
Yes, yeah, we certainly will.
thank you. I hear you pretty.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you.
There you go, dude.
That's how it's
Is that
done.
better? Is that better? Right, you want me to, I can sing too, but.
Go ahead.
My name is Jim DeRegan. I am the Shared Services Network and IT Supervisor.
I'm Derek Sola. I'm the Information Specialist 3.
So I just wanted to start off for a minute, earmarking the different tasks that the IT team does every day. So first off, again, everybody knows us as the team that comes in when your printer doesn't work, your computer doesn't work. That's the visible side of our team. But on the back end, we manage far more items and more serious items too. So one of them is our cybersecurity response plan. As everybody has heard, the thought processes of ransomware and companies and municipalities and schools being locked and having to pay incredible fines, millions of dollars. So we on the back end manage our cybersecurity response plan. We manage a verbose amount of cybersecurity safety measures that go on all of our computers, all of our file servers. We manage 25 servers, not only on the town side, but on the police side also. We manage all the technology in the cruisers, fire department, anything that's a tablet, a phone that's issued by the town, a computer, we touch, we manage. So we also manage all of the networks that connect all of the buildings, internet connections, firewalls. So there's a lot in the background that we do every single day. I just wanted to give everybody an idea of all the extra things that the IT team does and does very well.
Thank you for that.
All right, so we'll go over some of the major differences. So in the budget details, under support services, we had some changes with our GIS consulting. Municity, the maintenance for the billing department, that's going to be eliminated because it's going to go to a different product. Malwarebytes, which is one of our security products, that went up in price, which a lot of our vendors are just adjusting their price as they go on. The next biggest increase was in our internet services, and there's a breakdown. Should be in your packet. And some of the biggest changes there are just new initiatives like the website redesign. We have our Palo Alto firewall. It's going to go through some updates, and that's going to be something different because we purchased the firewall with grouped in updates in our first contract. So now this is outside of that initial contract, so that's why that's going to be an increase there. We also have some Civic Plus, some of the code enforcement, and OpenGov, so that's going to be the permitting system that's going to eliminate Municity. And I think those are the major ones. For our IT equipment, we only increased that by a small amount, $2,200, and that's just for PC softwares. And we have no new positions requested, but in CNEF, we have a request for 2 data backup devices, one for the town hall and one for the police department. And that's just our nightly backups that happens here at town. So everything that happens with every single department gets backed up nightly. Same thing with the police department. And it's everything relating to dispatch, everything with their records. Question?
No, she
I was
sneezed.
blessing Counselor Zambrell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just like at home, you would back up your own data. We do something like that here. It's not a new concept, but the devices themselves. One device on the town side is on its 7th year. The police department is about on its same life cycle, around 7 or 8 years. And like with everything, you can no longer buy something and run it for 15 or 20 years. It's like a fridge. You have to replace it so much sooner than previous devices. And these are going to be a little bit hardened. They're going to move from a different platform to a more secure platform. So it's going to give us a lot more flexibility and increased security. So, any questions?
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Counselors, questions?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we got a lot going on. I
Go
saw
ahead, Mitch.
Counselor Bailey, then Counselor Clancy. Counselor Bailey.
All right, 3 quick ones. The Civic Plus Civic Code Enforcement, 6,000 to 23,000. Go into a little detail with that.
So that I would have to just,
Sure. Mike?
This is my fault. So we were down to the final days of putting the budget together. There's a lot of items in the IT budget that are other initiatives from other departments.
Okay.
I was responsible for sort of gathering all those, making sure they made it into IT. Some of these systems, these guys I've never seen, really don't even know about the ones that are being implemented. What I did at the end was I had started to list some items out to the right-hand side of this spreadsheet, and they never got added as lines, specific lines, so they're rolling into those totals. So you really, for that, just for that internet services line item, that's why I put together, I don't have it, I put together the page that's in your binder. There's a page that has everything sorted out in the right we categorize it into groups so that we can talk about it, you kind of understand.
Oh.
But it's in the binder that you got tonight.
Here, right?
But it's all new.
Yeah, okay.
It's
No,
all new?
no, if you look at that page,
Yeah. All right, all right.
it's, some items are new. You'll see anywhere where you don't see anything last year, but you see something for 26. So it's got 25 and 26 side by side.
All right.
We tried to make that easy to track all these different items, because like I said, there are a bunch.
Okay. My next question is going to be on the one underneath it and the one underneath that. So they're all going to be listed here?
Yes.
The Google Workspace, $72 a user.
Yep.
For the domain restraint registration renewals?
Yep, yep. So you'll see, again, on my second attempt,
Yep.
the totals are the totals equal the amounts in the book for that line item, internet services.
All right, so all these
we
on the
just-
right-hand side of that will add up to the difference in these numbers? Okay, fair enough, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Bailey, Councilor Clancy, and Councilor Carbone.
Okay, just FreshWorks, it says it's a ticketing system. Is we talking about infractions or like events? What kind of tickets?
It's for help desk. So if you have a problem. you go
Oh,
to
IT tickets.
So you go to a portal, you list your problem, we get it, we assign it, we fix the problem, we put a resolution, but it helps us track internally, this product is creating a lot of issues, maybe we need to look at it, is this desktop, a problem? It just helps everybody keep track of their tickets when they submit them.
Okay, thanks.
Good, Cindy?
No, seems totally obvious now that I know the answer. Yeah, thank you.
Councilor Carbone?
I feel like I'm going to have more questions on the lowest tech, so forgive me before I start. But this is a huge jump, right? So you're up, the percentage I'm looking at here, you're up over 15%. So are you saying, Mike, excuse me, Mr. O'Neill, that this is not all IT based on what you're adding? It's from different departments? And you said you're adding line items and it has nothing to do with them, so this is different departments added into IT? Yep. No?
Yes, there are, we have a lot of examples where we have a system, OpenGov, which we formerly was Municity. Now we've
But that's my next question.
implemented a new system called OpenGov. That's a system that building, planning, and engineering are all going to use. So we put it into IT.
So who decided to do that program, switch program?
That was a CNEF project last year.
That we
did.
It was approved in the budget last year by this.
Okay. So even though, because that was my question too, so you said that replaces the Municity,
Correct.
but the Municity was only 16.5 last year, now it's going to be 60,000 this year?
It's the Municity was.
One department.
It was one department, and it was the product that we have now is much more robust, and it really, Municity, unfortunately, never worked for us.
Okay.
And it was inadequate.
And so these numbers, or these are going to be yearly numbers, so when this increase, this $100,000+ increase will be every year starting?
Much.
With all IT stuff. Yeah, that's a crazy jump. So even the firewall upgrades, another $25,000, that's something we didn't have before?
Yeah, so the firewall updates are required we get those daily because our threat landscape changes daily. Our firewalls are under attack. We effort 5,000 attacks a day against all our firewalls.
Oh.
So we rely on the software updates that get updated every day to help us mitigate threats against our networks. That's critical.
But we didn't have,
Cybersecurity.
what did you have last year?
I'm sorry?
What did you have last year?
So there was nothing on that is a $20,000 bump. What happened was when we purchased the firewalls for both the town and the schools, these upgrades were part of the purchase. This year was that last year. So now we're paying yearly, and it's $20,000 roughly. It's $10,000 per firewall to get yearly updates daily to enhance our ability to thwart attacks.
Thank you. And that brings me to my next question. So is there any way to renegotiate these contracts? Are you looking at other less expensive options, or is it just you're going for safety first and who cares?
Well, no, we care about the budgets, but, you know, at this point in time, Palo is like the premier platform. It's just like a couple of other brands like Cisco. They're all the top tiers. At this point in time, we must go with a more robust top tier environment because of the attack landscape. It is incredible now how the bad actors are leveraging AI to create more threats against networks, and we need to make sure that we have good protection against it. So that's one area where we feel that we cannot compromise on.
Okay, so there's no
We
negotiating
certainly can make
prices.
changes in other areas, but our cybersecurity response plan is critical.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that.
Councilor Bailey.
That includes police, fire,
That includes
everything, all our
everything.
public first responders and, okay.
That is correct. All devices have cybersecurity on them. We have multiple layers. We have to have that. It's only going to grow in price. And, you know, you got to remember, too, like all these top-tier vendors, they realize they have great products. And they, you know, and they realize that cybersecurity is critical. I mean, you cannot not have this anymore. So, you know, at the end of the day, we need to just ensure. And, yes, that is that everybody is covered under this security umbrella.
Okay.
You guys good?
Oh, I'm good, thanks. Yeah.
We're like blending in over here.
Mike, did you have something? Because you're up there. No, you're just, you're anticipating, you're ready. That's good. Any other council questions or comments for IT? Guys, great job. You're good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we're a little over a half hour ahead of time, and we have one more presenter, and it's the townwide radio, who Fred is trying to contact because we're a little ahead of schedule.
Oh, I see.
But
They in the building?
What's that?
They in the building, do you know?
Last time talking about it is I texted him when these gentlemen started.
Okay.
The other thing we can do is I have a bunch Tuesday night. I can hit some of those.
you guys all okay with us knocking off a couple of Mike's accounts while we wait for the radio?
Yeah, who does the radios now? Does Kelleher still do
Can't
it?
radio him,
Bobby?
have him come in.
I really use a radio
right now.
And Mike, did he respond to you? Is he on his way, or has he not responded? The radio guy. What's his name?
Bob.
Bob.
I could text him, but the verbiage is probably going to be much different. Probably be nicer if he did it.
But you might get him here quicker.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, so let's go. Hopefully he gets here a little early, but let's knock off a few more. Yeah.
So what are we doing, finance?
Tell us where we are, Mike.
Sure. So it's behind the blue tab, which is next Tuesday. There's a finance tab. It's the middle tab.
Got it. Do you know a page in the workbook, or no?
I'm going to do,
It says it? Do they all say it? I'll say it. 84. Okay, thank you.
We have a whole series of some small.
Smaller ones, yeah. Let's knock them
items
out.
behind this tab, so I'll just go in the order of the tab. The first one is probate court, which you can find in your book on page 83.
Thank you, Mike. Go ahead.
This is just an assessment that we pay every year. The probate court resides in Newington, and so we go through the Newington Finance Office. This is just for the occupancy costs for the court, and they assess us based. I think it's based on population every year. So
Do we contribute to salary too, or no?
I think it's just I think I think that's all through the state. I think
Okay.
it's just occupancy.
Just occupancy.
So
Okay. Anybody have any questions on this one? No. Okay. Just keep going.
No, I do.
Check it out.
A couple of pages beyond that is treasurer. Again, very small. We have two appointed treasurer and a deputy treasurer. They're paid $1,500 a year, paid once a month, and that's all that is. So that's $3,000 plus some FICA, some fringes that are added on top of that.
Just keep going unless someone wants to jump in on something. Just
Okay, next is the finance department itself. You'll find that in your book on page 95. Let me get things up there. And actually, the line items are on page 102. Overall increase this year is a 17% increase, which is substantial. I am asking for to convert my part-time position to a full-time position. That's just based on the workload that we've experienced in the department. Person that's in the part-time position will be leaving us soon. She's a retiree who worked in my office before she retired at the end of 2019. She was an extraordinary asset to have as a part-time person.
doesn't want to stay.
Years of experience. She did stay.
She did. Doesn't want to stay more.
So now she's, yeah. So, to me, that's an opportune time to upgrade this if you see fit, to a full-time position. The workload is there. As you know, we've discussed in the past, we've had a tumultuous, probably 5 years since COVID, during and since COVID, with turnover, with some extended absences in the HR manager position. A lot of things when we went without an HR manager for 8 months, and then we had on 2 different occasions a part-time sort of contract fill-in for longer periods of time. In addition to that, a lot of that stuff, there's things like people retiring, medical benefits, things that just, they have to be taken care of, when the need arises. And so that stuff just back in 20 and 21 all went up to finance, who took care of it, figured it out. Slowly, we've staffed up. You approved HR generalist last year, and the upgrade, to assistant town manager of Erica's position. That has helped us immensely to get some of that work down. We still have more than we can manage, to be honest, and that's why I've asked for this position. So what's in there is there's a provision for we always, with a vacant position, assume family medical coverage, because this would be a full-time position. So that's on the order of almost $30,000 alone, just for medical coverage. But it would be a technical assistant position. You can see it on page 102, right after line 5. There's line 5.5, I'll call it there. There's a $60,000 provision in this year's budget. And we also increased, you can see a substantial increase in the health insurance line. That's about $30,000 of, we're assuming, that's a part-time position, no benefits, no health benefits. We've budgeted a request for a full-time position. A full-time position would come with medical benefits, so we assume the highest level of coverage, family coverage, because we don't know what that will be, of course. So that's the increase from the 91,000 to the 132. It includes an additional employee at the family level of coverage.
That number also includes just health care increases across the board for everybody.
For everyone else in the department.
Yeah.
That increase, the 6% is in there as well. So other than that, again, that's accounting for the large increase. Everything else, non-personnel, total increase is about $19,000. We pay for We pay for Munis, that's our financial system out of my department, except for the HR pieces. ClearGov is the system that produced the book that you're looking at. That's new. That's $36,000. I can say it was a steep learning curve this year, but it still was worth all the effort to put that in place, and we'll benefit even more going forward because everything will be in the system. It's not on Excel spreadsheets, and you know we're quite delicate. You know, Joe Clerkin from my office and I have a great system of keeping each other in check, but it's not optimal. It's not something we could hand off to other people someday. So it's time to put that on a real platform, and that's what ClearGov does for us.
Are you done with the?
I am.
Okay. Questions for Mike on finance? Councilor Carbone.
Thank you. So that ClearGov that you were just talking about, is that going to be a yearly cost, or is that just the cost to implement that program?
That's the yearly cost.
And that's just to put all the figures in, numbers, just for finance?
It does that. It allows us to, what you don't have in your book, but if you were to look at the online version, there are detailed pages for every capital project with pins on a map. We attached estimates. Like Councilor Bailey's question about the HVAC at Firehouse 1 is actually out there. It's available. I'm only telling you about that now, of course. I have the opportunity, but it's there. So that's there. There's the ability, something we didn't use this year was the ability to put all the collective bargaining agreement salary schedules in. And again, we have all that stuff in Excel now, and it's Joe Clerkin does a great job. But it's fragile, and that's why I got a separate sort of simplified system on the side that I use, and we check back and forth. And it's a lot to manage. And again, if either one of us, wasn't able to do it for some reason, it would be an enormous effort. It's just not standardized, and it's just these things. That's part of what we're dealing with the disruptions I talked about in recent years, is just doing things that are not standardized, and on a system done systematically. And this is a way to get there.
And this system, it's open to the public to view?
Yep.
And
if you go to the website, the town website, the link there for the budget will take you to an online version of the book. Like I said, the capital projects was another 100 pages or so. We just made the decision not to spend the money on printing for that. The summaries in here, but there's a lot of detail that's out on the website.
Mike, I've also been meaning to ask so every time we see on every group, every my brain
department.
Thank you. Every department, all the salaries, all the insurance, all the medical, all that stuff, that is just contractual, right? None of that is, let's give so-and-so a $5,000 raise this year. All of it's contractual, right?
It is for everyone that's in a union.
Everyone in the union, all the administrative personnel, it's based upon what we look at. That's why we did the class and compensation study, also for the unions, but for the administrative personnel that are non-union. That's something that we do internally, and we bring those to you, and we put those in the budget. And some of those are spelled out for you in this budget.
But like department heads, Shelley, those are not in the same union. They're not in a union. So that's more of, or not with, many of them aren't in a union, and that's a decision that the town manager makes in the budget, and then we can decide. So department heads are not the same. They're not on a contractual basis.
I just wanted to thank you for clarifying that, because I don't ever think it's a given. A lot of these things are all contractual. Thank you.
I have one, but
Councilor Bailey, and then Councilor.
Ladies before gentlemen, go ahead.
Okay, back to the probate court. It says that our portion is divided by the grand list total of each of the three towns. Are we paying more or less than, what are the other people paying?
So they take the total amount of the occupancy costs, and then they take the grand list for each of the towns and just pro rata allocate the total occupancy costs based on.
Oh, so everyone's paying 1/3. It's not,
Everyone's paying, well, if making this up, if Weathersfield was accounted for half of the total grand list value for 3 towns, then we would pay half, even though there's 3 towns.
right. I'm assuming we don't, though.
Probably not exactly half. I mean, not
That's what
exactly
I
a
just
third
be
of
curious.
it. No, I'm sure it's,
sure it's
there's
pretty
a
close
formula.
You just know what they said we should pay, correct?
Yeah, I can get it for you, though.
Okay. I'd be curious, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Remember. This would be,
Counselor Bailey.
oh, he gone. He back. Can the ClearGov incorporate any of the Munis stuff to try to have some amount of savings from the Munis part? I'm asking, I have no.
No, great question. There is a module in Munis, a budget development module. It doesn't have the capabilities. We've used it. Actually, it was the last 2 years to address the same exact thing that I described, getting us to be more systematic.
Well, no, I know that ClearGov is better for you.
So we did use, just in finance, we put everything into the budget module in Munis as a second check. Again, it's like when you put it in there, it's stable, static. It doesn't move. It doesn't depend on formulas. It just doesn't have the capabilities. Another huge chore is producing this book. It's an enormous amount of time in the past was spent on desktop publishing to just put literally page by page.
Munis has been a disaster since the day they got it.
I didn't.
Munis has been a disaster since the day they got it.
Munis is a great system.
It's an accounting. It's an accounting. It's a financial
my question
management.
is can the ClearGov incorporate some of that?
Not in a way that will take away. I mean, we'll ask.
And I'm just to
We'll
take
ask
some of that big number away from Munis.
So there's a module called Financials. I'm just looking for it on page 102. But Financials, it's the first line, Munis accounting, accounts receivable, fixed assets, projects. That accounting is general ledger, it's budgeting, and there's a few other things that I can't think of. It's just we pay for that module. Budgeting is a piece of it. Again, to your point, we will absolutely ask. I think we're up for renewal on this in the coming year. Anyways, my sense is that they're going to say if you want the financial module, this is what it comes with, but we would ask. So, but it's
You have it in ClearGov, right? You have the financial module in ClearGov.
it's a budgeting platform.
All right.
So everything, ClearGov performs a function that's also available in a module in Munis, plus ClearGov accomplishes much, much more.
I'm totally in agreement.
All the personnel,
Yeah.
union schedules, the whole production of the book, the website, that's available to the public.
No, I agree with you. I agree with ClearGov, and it's better. But is there anything that you can incorporate into ClearGov from Munis?
In addition,
So we're not paying for $25,000 or whatever it is for Munis that can go into ClearGov, and we can eliminate Munis.
we can't, no.
No.
All right. The short answer is no.
That easy.
The only thing we could do is ask, can you give us a break? We're not using the budgeting anymore. But actually, the board uses,
That's what I was going to say. If you look at the Board of Ed's budget that you have in front of you, that's Munis. You can see the difference in what you're actually getting. It's a lot of spreadsheets. It's not a lot of detail. You don't get the descriptions like you do in ours, and the graphs and the charts and all those types of things that I think, frankly, people need to see. But anywhere I've ever been, from the education department always gives you something like that. But I think, to do this, you really need a specialized platform, which is why, or you have to do what we've been doing for years here, and that's Excel spreadsheets and tons of hours of time, and it's just not very efficient. So,
Anyone, any further questions for Mike? I have a couple. Shelley?
Oh, sorry.
No,
I'm just going to piggyback
I'll
right
go
on that.
last. Go ahead.
So is this a platform that's used exclusively through your department? Is it something that the town is in ownership of now that we have? Because $36,000 is a lot of money for a platform, in my opinion, my humble opinion.
It's like many of the systems that we use these days. It's in the cloud. It's a platform. It's not it's not on a server here. Our data, we put our data in it. I mean,
Although it's firewalls, right? We just, I'm sure.
So
5,000.
there are other. I mean, you asked, will other departments use it?
Well, I'm just thinking, you just said the Board of Education is using the old school Munis, which obviously probably comes at a cost. And if we already own.
Yeah, there's no limitation on the number of users. We certainly could make it available to the board. They would just be developing a separate budget on the system.
So it wouldn't cost us any extra for the town if we let them piggyback on it?
No.
And would we, just your humble opinion, because I know you're not Board of Ed, would there be savings through the Board of Education if we could get them on that platform and get rid of something else?
It's just the budgeting is part in Munis.
Mm-hmm.
The budgeting module, I'll call it a module, is part of the financial module, the accounting. It's that first line. Munis accounting, accounts receivable, fixed assets, project accounting, and dashboard. $49,307. That's a product from Munis, from Tyler.
And so this one
Which
here in this
includes
is Board of Education using this particular one, right? That's in this budget. Same thing, it's a platform and.
So you got to speak into the mic because I'm only catching some of that. I'm not
I'm
sure
sorry.
that-
So this is, the Munis, I'm just trying to understand, is a platform, again, same thing that's town-wide, and that's what the Board of Education is using. So we're not going to find any savings if we get them to use something else. Okay.
No, they're
Kinda
very
just worked that
different
out.
products. One is, this is
I was trying.
Munis is the complete financial management system that both town and schools utilize. It keeps accounting of every transaction. It's everything soup to nuts, whereas the budgeting platform is specific for creating and providing the budget, displaying it, allowing residents to see the
More
data more
interactive.
easily, as opposed to pawing through a bunch of spreadsheets, which really wouldn't mean much to them.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Councilor Carbone. Just a couple quick ones. And let me preface this by saying, I know it's a tremendous amount of work that you and your department do to prepare this budget, these documents. Thank you. I know it takes a lot of time, and it's appreciated.
Appreciate that.
I don't know if there's a way, I'll just ask the question, that these two, the binder and the booklet, could be combined into one to save time, maybe some money, and some of the backup material could be included in the binder, and that we don't need both, and maybe it's a little less work, maybe it's a little less money, and maybe it's a little less cumbersome. Is that an option, is question one. And number two, I see Bob here, do we have one more? I see central services. Is that the very next one, and is that the last one, or?
Oh, no, I got a bunch.
You got a bunch. Okay, so we don't want to hold Bob up because you're on for next week. So I guess I'll just stick with the question. Is there a way potentially to consolidate these two things into one, potentially save time and energy in your department, and potentially maybe save a few dollars? Or is it, or?
There is. And that's, we're on that trajectory by going to this format.
Because I'd love to have one myself to
You know,
carry
a lot
around,
of-
but I want, but if it's, but if you're gonna, if it's not saving any money or time, then
No, it is.
we could
There's-
consolidate
there's-
into one.
There's more to come with ClearGov next year. Like I said, we have the ability to let the departments, each department will have a user account on the system. They can put their requests in online. They don't do it on, again, spreadsheets. So we sort of took a half step in terms of implementing it this year. But that is one of the things that we've talked about is, this book, I think, has shrunk a bit from what it was in past years, but it's really, there's some repetition here.
Yeah, there's a lot. I'd love to have one book, and if it certainly saves time, energy, and money, it would make it easier for all of us.
It's still a big improvement, though. Thank you.
Thank you, and appreciate all the work.
Cheryl, too.
Mike, I think since you're here for the whole thing, but your finance is on next time, maybe we go to Bob now, or do you want to, I don't know if you want to cover any. Yeah, so why don't we go to Bob, and I think that's our last one for the night. So, Mike, thank you. Appreciate it. I know you're still here.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. So, our radio guy, Bob, how are you? Very good. How are you?
Yeah.
Thanks for being here a little early.
Townwide
We're ahead of schedule.
Last year.
Oh, 166.
That's right. So this is our last one, counselors, for tonight, the townwide radio.
And Bob, just make sure you speak right into the microphone because it doesn't pick up very well.
All right, good evening. Bob Keller, if anybody doesn't know me, here on behalf of Townwide Radio. So just going to go over our budget proposal for this year. We do have a larger increase through the upgraded radio system that we're working on with L3 Harris and Eastern Communications right now. So that is the largest part of our increase. That is the 41%. What we've done to keep this in line with what we've been paying in the past is been able to split up the way we're doing the upgrade as far as it's a 15-year plan. What this will do is give us multiple upgrades throughout that 15 years instead of just the one. Currently, our radio system sits on the same platform that we started with, which is 10.0, which is far outlived its life. So we've worked with L3 Harris and Eastern Communications, who's our sales rep for L3, to work in finding our numbers as to what we paid in the past, the original lease purchase of the program, to keep that in line so we're not asking for more than we paid in the past. So personnel was a slight increase this year for cost of living. Maintenance has stayed pretty much the same, and I'm sorry if I go over mostly working off page 171 of the book. So I apologize if I didn't go over that. We've kept pretty much everything in line with last year's. We did make a couple of decreases. Now that our shop is set up, we've dropped that ask tremendously to $3,000 this year for office furniture and office supplies. We needed more furniture. We kept it higher last year just because we weren't sure how everything was working out. Right now, currently, if anybody doesn't know, we have an office inside the PD, which is our daily office, and then we have a workshop out the back. We're trying to repair the radios at the same time. So we took an old radio shelter that was abandoned, and we created a workshop for that. So we've been working out of there, trying to save money in repairs, and instead of sending stuff out as much and having a 6-week wait, we're trying to turn those radios over quick to the departments that need. We do have increases to the shelters at the Callahan and Executive Square site. Those are both rental shelters. We rent Callahan Mountain behind Bolorama. We rent the shelter there. It's now moved from Fred Callahan to a private company, a third party that now took over for Fred. Executive Square is up on top of 13 stories up in the air. That one has pretty much stayed pretty level as far as that goes. We're in talks with Tiger, which runs the Callahan site, to lower the amount they're asking for an increase now, just to sort of keep in line with the ask of what most shelters are being done before. We do have $30,000 for replacement radios, which is a normal ask for portable and mobile radios. With that being said, we're sort of redoing the way we were looking at how many radios are actually put out in the field. If people aren't using their mobile radios as much, we're taking them back and using portable radios that are assigned anyway. And there's accessories that we can utilize inside the vehicle that make a portable running a mobile. It can't really be used for police, fire, and EMS. Those agencies still need their mobile radios inside their vehicles. But for other ancillary vehicles throughout the town, we're trying to sort of cut costs and reuse some of the equipment we have already for that. The furniture and supplies, we put that on, decreased by about $13,000 there. We'll
Thank you,
Oh, yeah.
Bob. So, Counselor Clancy, I think you were first. And
Well,
you've been first a lot tonight, a lot of questions.
what's
It's good.
up with that,
It's
huh?
good, yeah. Go ahead.
So Kelleher Tower, if we're going to rent that out to the city of Hartford?
Yes, we have, the city of Hartford is actually going to start paying shortly. They've moved equipment into the shelter. They're not actually up and running yet. They're setting the microwave system up right now on the tower. They paid a third-party vendor to come in and set all that up for them. So they're in the process of getting their stuff set up. So our old shelter at the Kelleher site is now being rented to the city of Hartford.
But that should be in the plus column somewhere, but right? I can't find where what we're getting.
They haven't started paying us yet, so
Oh.
they're going to be starting this year. So they haven't gone active with that. That's been a dormant shelter so far. They've literally just moved equipment in. They haven't really taken over anything.
Okay. What are we getting?
I have to get back to you on that one. I don't have it off the top of my head right now.
Okay.
I apologize.
It'd be good to know. I mean, not right now, but
Hope it's millions of dollars.
it'd be nice.
I don't know if the city can afford that.
Yeah, understood. Counselor Clancy?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Further council questions? Counselor Bailey?
What are the upgrades? The shelter site improvements?
Shelter site improvements.
Yeah.
Including, like last year, we had to put in new fencing around the Kelleher site. Some debris and stuff had fallen on the osprey nest at the top of the tower. And we had to redo fencing. A couple other sites that we've had to do upgrades are the generators, the HVAC systems. So the Kelleher site, we've already paid for, and we're waiting for products to come in for both our shelter and the Hartford rented shelter. We replaced the HVAC systems in there, and we've got the money. The PO's been cut for the generator there as well. Next year, or this proposed budget, we're going for the site improvements at Callahan site. We're going to replace that 50 kW generator with a newer one, and we're going to be doing the HVAC in that system and then some minor fence repairs.
That's just for Callahan.
Just for Callahan, yeah. But the site improvements are for all the shelters. We sort of found stuff that's in need of repair.
Understood. The 15-year system upgrade. Just get into that a little bit. That's a big number.
Yes, it is. What that's doing is we're doing one full complete upgrade right off the bat, so we'll end up with anything from new dispatch, going from Symphony 1 to a Symphony 3. Not that that means much to anybody else. The dispatchers will notice a lot more interactivity with that. A lot of this is behind the scenes work as far as servers, routers, switches, which are all off-the-shelf type items. But we're also combining a lot of the machines that we have in the rack system
Found it.
now, or now we're doing virtual machines. So we can fix things a little easier instead of having to send stuff out and have it waiting.
So it's a one-time cost.
We're doing a one-time upgrade in the beginning, and then years 6 and 7, 8, we're going to be doing other upgrades that are included in this, which is another dispatch renewal, and then some other virtual machines and some other
They're included in that number?
that are included in this number. Yeah.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bob got me involved 9 months ago or so, meeting with Harris to kind of understand the financial end of these things. So what we have in the 265 assumes half a year with the new system, sort of the new deal, if you will. What we are working on, first of all, what's not in here are the lease payments on the existing system. Those ended in fiscal '24. They were just over $400,000 a year. So that's a cost that dropped off, but it's coming back because we're going to get a brand new system. So the system we currently have, we had a 10-year arrangement with a lease, brand new equipment at the beginning, 10-year-old equipment at the end. The deal we're talking to Harris about would be 15-year arrangement, brand new equipment at the beginning with a refresh somewhere in the middle and a couple refreshes for certain items so that, and then what we've asked them to do is let's try to structure this thing so from a cash flow standpoint, the annual cost is in the neighborhood of what it was when we were paying the lease and the maintenance on the system a couple years ago. So a couple years ago, we were paying $700,000 a year with the lease payment and the maintenance. So we said, that's where we're trying to stay. We know you can't because there's inflation. So you were probably in the neighborhood when we get everything said and done, $800,000 or so per year for 15 years for this new upgrade. That's the working framework that we have right now, working out all the details. So what we did here is we said, how much would it cost us in fiscal 26, the period we're budgeting for, if we got this system, we signed a contract, it was approved, and it was in place on January 1st of 26. So for half of the year. We'd have the new system, so we'd have to, it's going to cost us a lot more. Right now, the system doesn't cost us much because it's old, we don't have a lease payment
It's gonna be over
anymore.
600 next year then.
Right.
The same line item would be more
Yes.
than double next year.
We're looking at in the neighborhood of $800,000 a year, which is it was over 700 before. It's just dropped in the last 2 years because that $400,000 lease payment disappeared.
I have a question, but Councilor Bailey?
No, I'm good.
Anybody else? Councilor Zambrello?
Thank you. I have a clarifying question because I'm looking at the budget book on the expenditures by object on page 167, and then the line items on page 171, 172. There's quite a few differences between some of these line items. I'm not sure if this is a Mike question or, for instance, in the salaries and wages, we mentioned that there's a 2.75% cost of living adjustment, but then if you look at page 167, it's showing a almost 13% decrease. When that looks like it should be 56 from the line items, but then that's not the only issue. So I'm not sure what the correct sheet is.
I don't know either,
No, this is.
but I'm relieved to know that the total at the bottom is the same in both cases.
Yeah,
one
the total for this year, the total for previous years is not.
It says
So-
actual 23, 24, so 62. Hourly
Yeah,
salary.
On the line items on 172, the total for this year is the same on both of these, but then last year it's got 688,566, and then on the expenditures by object on page 167, it's showing 699,331.
I'm following you generally, and I'll look
Okay,
at that.
yeah, if we could get some-
I'm not very good at
Sure, yeah,
I
you
get
don't
the
have to
big
figure this
picture
out on the fly, but
idea,
there's
and
a
I'll
few
sort it out for
differences.
you,
So,
yeah.
yeah, thank you, that'd be great.
Yep.
That's all, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Zambrello. Further council questions? So let me just follow up on the 15-year contract. This 265 is for this year. It was likely to go up more than double next year, correct? 600,000, are we,
It'll come up to, with the maintenance contract and the lease agreement, it'll come up to about 800 to 851.
from 265?
Nope,
That would
nope.
combine to an-
Oh, okay.
So if you add those three lines, it's about $580,000. It would go from 580 to 800 something.
And are we already in the contract? Like
No,
signed?
no.
This is a new expenditure.
You'll see that. You'll see that.
Okay, so it's a new request, new expenditure. We're not in the contract. It's a new request. Is that correct?
This is a provision in the budget, assuming a new system. We have a contract, the council approves it, and it It's implemented on January 1st of '26, halfway through the new budget period.
And it's a 15-year contract. It's not approved yet, but there's a schedule of 265 for this budget. And I know that there's three other items, and then it increases. If, hypothetically, we did not fund that, what happens? If we do not fund that, we have an existing contract, we have existing equipment.
We do.
Is it out of date? I mean, what, because this is, this is a significant cost for us, and it's so.
So right now, our current system, the way it sits as it is right now, a lot of the operating systems are running on Windows XP. We cannot update those or upgrade our security to our system. As it just sits right now, with two-factor authentication and a lot of other things. Right now, if we don't do anything, the problem is, as things fail, we cannot replace them. So we had a power surge at the Kelleher site back last June, I think it was, or around there. What happened was it affected the shelter and melted the transfer switch at the shelter, which fried some of our equipment. Some of that equipment we've not been able to recover. And as the system ages, we're not going to be able to recover other things if they start failing. So then it would become a safety issue for people using the radio system.
And it's hard to repair some of those.
Yes.
Okay.
So a lot of these items that are getting replaced right now are going to become virtual machines on a equipment server, on a piece of equipment in the shelter. So we're going to take out some of that stuff and make it a virtual machine instead of having so many different spaces on that backfill up with different network centuries, GPS.
I think I got it, but it's pretty technical, and it is a big, yeah.
Yeah, if I could quickly just
help out?
put it into context a little bit. Over 3 years ago, when I came for my interview here and did the whole dog and pony show, and they had us come to a council meeting. And at that council meeting, 3 years ago, John Eichner was standing up there saying, we've got to replace this radio system, and it's going to cost us well over $2 million. And if we don't approve it soon, we could be running into some trouble. And it never got funded. And they came back the next year, and the next year we're on borrowed time. And just like a lot of things in town, I'll just say that and this is something that, this is emergency communications. It's not a nice to have, it's a have to have. And it is in the budget as proposed to you right now. So what Mike just talked about, the amounts that are in here, they're included in the proposed budget. But obviously next year there'll be more, as was explained. But this is one of those things that with this kind of technology, you can only push it off for so long, and then it just becomes a crisis, and that's what we're trying to avoid.
If I may also, when this upgrade, the refreshes that we're doing in mid-years throughout the contract, what that is going to prevent from happening is what we're getting into right now, where it's that we need to replace this now. We're going to keep this up to date as we go, instead of having it 10 years out of date and having to replace the whole thing. We're going to be keeping refreshing things as we go. And that way it's a cost benefit to the town. It is a very large expense. I'm not going to say it's not by any means, but
Understood.
technology is just unfortunate.
No, thank you, Bob, and thank you, Fred. The explanation was helpful. Any other questions for Bob for Townwide Radio? If not, we may be done. Nobody? Fred or Mike, do we have anything? Bob, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you guys very much for your time.
Fred, Mike, do we have anything else for tonight? No? Take a motion to adjourn, everybody.
Motion, second.
Hey, Council Rhodes, Council Clancy, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Good.
You know,
Thank you as well.
to go over.
What?
So much of it is like abbreviations.
Maybe that is part of
Women's caucus?